Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which tractor will it be today? I choose this one, the 756. Morning for a ride in the country on a tractor. Beautiful house. Very nice. Oh boy, look at all that hay. Somebody needs to get to work. Nice field of soybeans, just a few inches tall. Alfalfa growing on the other side. And the 756 running smooth as silk. Beautiful field of corn. My neighbors to pick up a load of hay.
I was just going to pull it over.
Yeah, sure. It's green, but it's not that. Alrighty, here we go. We'll give her a little diesel. Had to put my hat on the throttle lever. I was going down the road and went, I don't want to lose my hat. Alrighty. I got 20 and a half bales on this load, 4x4s. So we'll have to unload them. Howdy, piglets. You guys are all getting a drink. All right, let's all count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know what was going on in the last video. There's 8 of them, not 7, and they're all doing great. She hasn't laid on anymore. Hopefully we're out of the woods at this point. Can I eat this thing? Uh-oh, somebody hit a crisis. You are curious. Alright, Red, let's get you some water. Watch out, little ones. Here you go. We'll wash out your dish. What you really want is a hose down, right? Hey, you got me. All right, Fred. Is your butt itch red? Ah, that feels better. Little piggy's got to come and get a drink too. Let's go out and check the cow's water tank here. Well, it's filling up. Our farm gets all of its water, both for household and the animals, from one well that's about 40 foot deep. And sometimes the well gets a little bit overloaded. That's a lot of water coming out of one well, and it'll run dry and then recharge in a few minutes. And that's what happened this morning. A toilet was running in the house and the well went dry, and now it's filled back up. We've had the same well for 20 years and, no, 25 years. It's always served us well, so fingers crossed, right? I say that a lot lately. The cattle are way down in the pasture, but while I'm in here, I want to just show you something I learned with my fly control. It turns out when you're using these jars, they have kind of a warm-up time for the stink to really develop. So I went and I changed them all out at once, and then I had problems trapping flies for about a week or so while they spooled up and got stinky, and I think the flies rotting inside contribute to the stink just as much as anything else. And now they're back to their old game. They're catching tons and tons of flies. I got these two guys, oh, that's nasty, that are really catching them. Paper's catching a lot too. And then I got this one guy on the other side. He's doing all right. And as a test, I put one over here in full sun. This gets sun all day long. It hasn't caught squat yet. But like I said, it's only been up for 4 or 5 days, so we'll see how it does in the long term. Cattle are eating down their garlic salt. I just refilled it. How much of a dent in flies has all this made? I'm having a tough time telling, because there are zillions of flies on a cattle farm in the summer. Unless you're a dairy farm where you're bringing the cattle into milk every day and you've got, say, a fly blower that actually catches flies, or you're spraying them down while you're milking them or after you milk them, or you've got a bug zapper in the barn. That makes it easier, but on a beef farm, you've got flies out in the fields. It's just the way it is. The question is, do the flies really cause, look at all the flies on the tractor, do the flies really cause that much of a problem for the beef? Well, the answer is kind of yes and no. Fly load will decrease the rate of gain for beef because they get annoyed with the flies sometimes. They do get a respite when it gets cool in the evening and at night, so it's not like it's 24-hour pressure, but their rate of gain does slow down. Does it cause disease? No. Viruses and bacteria cause disease. Yes, sometimes flies carry them. We've never had a problem with it. So it's one of those things where it would be nice, but then you have to be practical at the same time. I gotta quit yakking and get these bales unloaded. Wow, this is moving right along, don't you think? I had a couple that fell on the ground. It happens. Let's see if I can put this last bale way up on top. barn's getting really full of hay, which is really good for late June. I'm way ahead of the game, but I don't have enough room to put all my tractors in here anymore. So I stuck the 656 down in the cattle barn. And next we got to take the wagon back to my neighbors. And that means I got to show you the newest addition to the farm, which I'm pretty excited about. Here we go. Yesterday, Hillary and I went and bought this new Ford F-150, and it was long overdue. I had my old truck for 17 years and drove the heck out of it. It was a good truck, did everything I asked it to. But I just got tired of working on it. Power steering pump went on it and it started leaking fluid all over the place. And I said, you know what? This is it. I'd been thinking about getting a new truck for the better part of a year, but of course, trucks and any vehicles are hard to find these days. I looked and hemmed and hawed and finally pulled the trigger, and I'm happy with this. It's a nice truck. It's a big step up for me, and it's like Christmas. So I'm looking for any excuse to drive it these days. You know, if the kids got to go anywhere, I'll use it to take the hay wagon back. And of course, the thing looks like the space shuttle inside. Got so many buttons, I don't know how to work most of them. Even turn up the fan here. Vehicles sure have changed a lot in the 17 years. Back in 2006 when I bought my last truck, everything is computers and electronics now and digital, and wow. What a difference. I dropped off the hay wagon and I thought to myself, where else can I drive today? I know. I'll go to the hardware store and get some paint. I need that. Here we are, friendly neighborhood ag track. No, let's see. Paint. Too many choices. I only need a couple cans of this and a can of this. See these strips of alfalfa they're cutting for haylage? Looks like they're fertilizing with a truck down there. They cut the alfalfa at about a ½ inch tall. I mean, it's almost on the ground. And I'm sure they do it for a reason, probably most volume. The big dairies know exactly what they're doing when it comes to getting the most out of their crop. It is short. Wowie. Here we are back at the homestead. Somebody trim those bushes. Oh, look, it's Cat in a Box. Hi, Ezra. What are you up to? Sleeping in here in a butcher box. You're gonna get put in the freezer if you stay in there. I gotta get these rims for the new hay wagon painted up, and then I can mount some new tires I bought on them tomorrow. It's getting hot out. I do a lot of deep thinking when I'm painting, and when I was painting these, I was thinking, you know what this wagon really needs is chrome lug nuts with spikes on the end of them. I'm gonna have to find some. Let me close this door. I don't want the MD to see or be contaminated by what I'm about to do. John Deere yellow, what, has he lost his mind? Oh, looks like baby puke. Calf meconium, sick dandelions, rotten bananas, lemons after too much tequila. The trouble with facts is there's so many of them. It's a real problem. Howdy, cows. Where's everybody else? Hi, little one. We're going back down to eat some dinner. Well, I guess I'll head with the herd down to the field. Hi, guys. Cows, heifers, steers. How are you all doing today? Everybody's hot. It's in the upper 80s today, and it's darn humid too, with a chance of heavy rain coming here in an hour or so. Marty! Hey, bud. Hey, you unnamed steer. Here's Doc. Oh. Hey, Doc. You all remember Doc, right? My wintertime buddy from a few winters ago. He's hiding back there. You guys are panting. It is hot. You get some food and you go back up the grove in the shade, okay? You follow my advice? If you were to just look at this pasture from up there, you'd say, wow, there's a lot of grass growing in there. But when you get down here and you look at it, what you've got is stuff that's starting to yellow out, going to seed here. And then you've got sort of the understory, which is grasses, good grasses. And then you've got clover down in here too. And what the cows do is this is the third time they've grazed the fields. Every time they go over it, of course they leave this stuff and they eat at the understory. So if you took away all these seed heads, the pasture's really only about 4 or 5 inches tall. And so now we're coming to the problem that I've been talking about since spring. You get the spring lush and crazy growth and the cattle are eating all they want. And then you have to decide how much hay to make on first cutting and how much of their pasture you're taking away with that. And then you got to get through the slower growing period. And we've already entered the slower growing period because rain's been a bit scarce around here compared to usual, compared to what we plan on anyway. Not compared to out west, but for the Northeast. So I'm continuing with my plan. I'm going to cut 5 acres next week if I get a weather window. And we're going to keep on reducing their grazing area to cut this stuff off and get some nice regrowth. Now I'm over in the field that I cut about a month ago. It was the first cut of the season, and this has come back nicely because we had moisture soon after that. This is alfalfa, 8 inches tall. You've got grass coming back up over here. It's nice and green. The cattle want to be here. That's why they're yelling at me, but they're not coming here yet. The trick is with my combined hay and grazing rotation is to time it so that you've got fields coming back, like this one will be ready to graze in a week or two, so that you can bring them onto this as the fields that haven't been hayed yet get hayed. So we're finishing first cutting. I got 15 acres of pasture left to cut for first cutting and turning them onto this and starting the rotation back around with this field and then to the field that I cut last week and continuing on through. Mother Nature can throw a wrench in the works. If it dries right up, as it can this time of year, especially as we go into early July and we hit 90-degree streaks and no rain, I'll be feeding hay. That's kind of walking the line. The only way to avoid walking that line is if your carrying capacity is much higher than the number of cattle you got on the land. If you're stocking many acres per cow, say 5 acres per cow or whatever it would be. We're running down at about 1 acre per cow right now, 1 acre per head of cattle, including calves and yearlings. And then we're buying in some of our hay. Oh, they're really after me now. I'm going to get out of here before they riot. If you want more information on this, the stocking density thing, I have a whole video on it back in the video library. I'll put a link down in the video description about stocking densities and how many cattle you can run per acre, actually how many acres per cow, depending on the weight of the herd and how many calves and all that stuff. I go into great detail. If a bear charges you in the forest, what should you do? I'll bet you're gonna say you should run, right? Yeah, you should run. That's what most people would say, but I say you should pay him immediately. If he's charging you, you just pay him. Pay him. I don't know. We'll go over and see how the hay wagon's coming along. It is almost done, I think. Welded all along the plate here and just tacked on these. I'm sure Dad's inside for his afternoon siesta with the heat being what it is. But it's getting pretty close. It's got new tires already on the front and I got to paint the rims. Those are tires that I bought for it before. Put the tires together for the back and put them on. He'll finish welding. It doesn't look like he's got much left. And then we can draw it over to my place and I'll paint it with the gun. Then we'll have an easy way to carry hay around, much better than my junky old hay wagon. Yep, this is very nice. Before I close this video, I wanted to mention that the butcher contacted me with the dress weights of the 2 head of cattle that we brought earlier this week. And the 2-year-old heifer that we brought dressed at around 375, and the 2-year-old steer that we brought dressed at close to 400 pounds. And those are darn good weights for our Dexters. You know, they're little cows, so that's about what you get. A mature cow that we send, say a cull cow, might dress 5 or 550, but that's really the upper limit. And I'm awful happy with those dressed weights compared to last year at this time. What we were bringing, that's about 50 pounds heavier, 25 to 50 pounds heavier. And I think we're going to continue to see that increase as long as my pasture system keeps working, which all depends on Mother Nature. I'm looking forward to having beef at market around the 4th of July weekend, and I am looking forward to trying some steaks as soon as they come back. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're keeping cool. It sure is hot here. I'll see you next time.